Hello. This is the kick that changed everything for Yoel Romero. After he took this, even the act of turning his head could have cost him his life. When he noticed and went to a doctor to get it fixed, he was told A, any normal human being would have died or have become paralyzed from the way his neck was. His straps somehow held his head up. And B, he should never fight again. He could never fight again. His doctor told him his career was over. But after a surgery fusing his neck and sitting on a chair for 4 months, he could not go to bed. He refused to listen to his doctor. His will, it was just greater than the adversity and limitations placed before him. Soldier of God, with unshackled belief and conviction, UFC debut 2013, age 36, Yoel Romero, he went on an 8-fight win streak. Yoel, truly an unusual human being. To a large extent, he has been gifted genetically in a very unfair way, literally traps, neck muscles, and a physical disposition that not only allowed him to survive a neck where others would have perished, but to still, despite that medical limitation, to still be renowned as one of the most athletic fighters to ever grace the grand stage. Yoel Romero is a very special human being. There has never been another fighter like him, let alone human perhaps. Now, you would like to think that, he'd be cautious on this tier of arena, considering how his doctor had said he should never fight again. But versus the tier of competition he's faced, there's no way he'd have that luxury. The fighters are just too good at the level he competes at. To never get hit is still a silly presumption, and I'm sure he knew that. It's just he was willing to pay whatever cost to move forward with his dream. And so that's what we see here. Every time Yoel Romero takes a head kick, there's no loss in composure. Just imagine that. Imagine being told by your doctor you'd never fight again because of a serious trauma to your neck via head kick, and then taking devastating head kicks throughout your career without losing any will to fight. There's no give. And when you understand, there's no way the average individual would not shell away in the fear of the thought of that. There's no way they would not be concerned about it. But Yoel, look, he doesn't care. He continues his game composed. His will, his commitment as the soldier of God is greater than the risk of repercussion to himself, and you can see it. To an extent, I'm sure this has actually turned into an advantage, where, say, a boxer trains his neck to absorb shots because there's less moving pieces, thus a stiffer neck. Every time he eats a blow, his whole body is actually inclined to move with the force. Watch. It's his body moving with the force, opposed to his head just snapping into rotation. This is advantageous, and you can see it. You can see his neck transferring the force into his body each time he takes a kick. Pair that with his remarkable bone structure, the shape of his head, his large neck muscles, thus rare specimen tier of being. It's as if everything works together to ensure he will continue his fight consciously. It's incredible. Look. Like a shaft between his head and torso each time he takes force. His head isn't snapping. His whole body moves with the force. There's no doubting it that there are rare physical attributes when it comes to this man. I've never seen a man like it. But there is more to this story, and it has a lot to do with Yoel Romero and his belief. His faith, his willingness, and belief are part of the magic that helped him through all of it. Through extreme adversity, the belief in a higher power, something you have to believe in, something everyone at the highest level appears to, that seems to be consistent to the nature of this reality and how we humans perform against it. Without it, today, we see even the most privileged people plummet into despair because even if I myself am not someone with any religious affiliation, I must recognize that we as human beings need a metaphysical framework to operate. Because the alternative from what I can tell, is a meaningless existential dread that's compensating, often with hedonism, going to extremes to fill a void. And so, with this segment, through Yoel Romero, all that I ask is that we be nicer to each other. I'm not an advocate for any one particular religion. I just see how it helps people reach the top, or has helped them overcome deep darkness. I can't share anything that isn't consistently working. That's what I do. I look at what consistently works, and I can't explain why. I could give you rationalizations, but even then, I know they aren't the full picture. There's more to this than what we understand. As someone who tries to come from the frame of knowing nothing, that is my belief structure. I know nothing. I try to just look at what consistently works, and from what I can tell, those who have a deep faith, for some reason, they just perform better. And so, to the individual who's cordial with me, I'll be a human being with them, because I understand the power of belief, the power of faith. I understand what it can do for people. I've seen a mother and father watch their child stop breathing and flatline. I've seen people overcoming the worst just by having faith, just believing in magic of some kind. To me, when I watch Yoel Romero, in my mind, there is no exception. I just try to always look for what consistently works. And looking through so many diverse examples, even the ones coming together, as you can see here, I cannot deny it. I'd be a fool to say that the highest performers are devoid of a metaphysical framework. They all have something to believe in. There is no magic for people who do not believe in it. In my mind and heart, seeing it consistently, there is no denying it. Having a metaphysical framework, having something to believe in, it's always been an integral component to greatness one way or another. You rarely ever see it otherwise. You rarely see it. It's so difficult to achieve when you're trapped in a meaningless existential angst. And so, all I ask is that we just be nicer to each other unless we're put in a position where we cannot. If you must be vicious, if you must be ruthless in order to preserve yourself, it is not my place to tell you to be otherwise. I'm not the one putting food on your table, but if it is not necessary, all that I implore for you is that we lead with understanding. Understanding of the human condition, akin to another. After all, we all have different geography influencing our instinctive drives and societal conditioning. To be patient and to come from a place of understanding, it is the bedrock for love. And so innately, I believe through understanding, do we become protagonists against the Tower of Babel. We're never going to be all the same. But one thing we can all grow towards, one thing we can all hold in our heart, is a bit more understanding. I believe we are setting a foundation for something better, not just in our own lives, but the world at large all the same. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, peace.
Everything is possible in your life when you believe.